Here's a video about Gary Vee lying about his garage sale videos.
Gary Vee is he's an enigma. He's sort of like someone made a video about him and called him Mune Cat, who watched my Gary Vee video actually. They made a video called Gary Vee, the Youth Pastor of Capitalism.
Okay, I want to watch that instead. Someone linked that originally, right? I kind of want to see that. Nick follows you on Twitter, yeah? I kind of want to watch the Gary Vee is a Youth Pastor of Capitalism.
Imagine Mr. Bean and capitalism had a child, and that child grew up to be an internet televangelist for a new faith called the...
That's why you shouldn't plug other people's videos? No, I mean, we'll go back to that video too.
Church of the Sigma Grind.
I just remembered that someone literally linked this video earlier, and I really liked it. I really liked the title of the video, and I saw a U, an U, Münkat. And I thought, is this person Turkish? Because I've never seen the U with the umlauts before. I guess like German has it too. But I didn't, I didn't investigate it further because we were watching something else. But I do want to watch this.
Mindset. And he infected every social media timeline on the little rectangle in your pocket with coked out elevator pictures for toxic hustle culture multiple times per day. That is Gary Vee. Your brokest mate loves him. Pop shields hate him.
Coffee cup, pay attention. We complain. When we drop, people just want to complain. People love to complain.
Peter Piper picked a pickled pepper. I just gave myself hiccups.
Basically, I want you to eat shit. Eating shit. Eating shit is something I do every day. Eating shit. Eating shit. Eating shit.
Born Gennady Vaynerchuk in Belarus at the humble age of 0, 3 years into his life, his family emigrated to the US and moved into New Jersey, where he says he first made his money ripping the flowers out of his neighbors' yards, ringing their doorbells and selling them back to them at the doorstep.
I went into people's yards, I ripped their flowers out of their yard, I rang their doorbell, and I sold it back to them.
Now, some of you watching may think that this is called being an asshole, but no, my little beta cucks. This is the early signs of pure, hardworking, entrepreneurial CEO spirit. The market is the market is the market. You need a trigger warning for the free market. He says he then began making thousands of dollars per week selling baseball cards at the mall in his early teens.
My dad then ruined my life when I was 14, he dragged me into the liquor store and paid me $2 an hour to bag ice for 15 hours a day.
Now, you may be thinking that this is child exploitation, but no, my delicate little snowflakes. This is called having a hustler mentality. In 1996, in his freshman year of college, Gary discovered the internet and did what every other 18-year-old boy who had just discovered the internet did straight away. He lubed up his entrepreneurial chops and learned how to use Google AdWords and took his father's business online to sell more of Daddy's fancy grape juice. Gary had launched one of the first ever e-commerce wine sites, which eventually helped his father's business grow from being worth $3 million to $60 million.
That was bad. What's next?
WineLibrary.com. Tasting bad wines so you don't have to.
Gary began polishing his bullshit skills early on by asserting himself as a wine critic on a little website that you may have heard of called www.youtube.com in 2006.
I'm Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm Director of Operations and co-owner of Wine Library and host of Wine Library TV.
Back in the innocent days of the information superhighways youth, he had created his own channel under the name of his father's wine company, Wine Library TV.
Really, the only thing I can say is a blend of chemicals that you definitely may not wake up from. Sniffy sniff time! Take a plum, wrap bacon around it, put it in the microwave, and let it go for 5 minutes. Let the plum explode, maybe not. Take it out with a rubber glove because you don't want to burn your hand. Slap on some serious black pepper, take a couple pieces of asparagus, and bite it. That's what this wine tastes like. Pulling the grapes right from the vineyard. This is pretty darn delicious. A really nice pairing.
And would attract comments such as,
"Will he please take a chill pill? This guy is annoying. Who is this man? He is really annoying."
You can call me anything you want. Heck, I know I'm over the top. I know some people might think I'm obnoxious.
sometimes bringing on guests from the traditional sommelier world to join him.
Everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Eventually, he built an audience on the backs of people who enjoyed his fresh take on the usual wine tasting bullshit. Following Gary's foray into this whole new flavor of wine tasting bullshit.
I really like White Castle sliders, and you know, I think that if I can't eat another one, I'll whip out a bottle of sherry, drink it, and then eat another 30 or 40.
What's that?
Sliders, very small hamburger type characters. It's not like a bee in a bonnet, but it's got, they're still fun. All right, so let's give this a sniffy sniff.
Which even led him to appearances on The Ellen Show and Conan O'Brien.
Now, I think what you're going to find out is
It's good. It did change the taste of the wine.
of course, the sugar.
There's corn in it now.
That's a totally different vino. Totally. Let's move on.
At one point, he even rejected some TV producers who offered him a wine tasting show on mainstream media, believing that the internet was the future.
I was approached by 2 different networks. They had 2 different styles. One was a talk show based style. One was a travel concept. Neither one really fit. I just don't believe in TV as the future media of the world. You know, video blogging is the way to go. The world's changing, and I want to be on that, you know, on that train, let's say.
In 2008, Gary was invited to make a keynote speech, which led to a $1 million book deal.
And that's what I want to talk about today. PP.
Crush It became an international bestseller, and he would use some of the money that he made from this to invest in tech startups for some shitty little apps that you've probably never heard of before, like Facebook and Twitter.
Consider the site the 21st century version of the old paper-bound yearbook. Now, millions of students use the Facebook.com to list not only their pictures and hobbies, but as a virtual community.
So we can blame Gary Vee for the increase in dissociative disorders in younger generations and quite possibly the complete downfall of democracy? Perhaps?
I'm making meats now, smoking these meats here.
Gary ended up leaving Wine Library for his father to run, and in 2009 incorporated his own marketing agency with his brother Ape.
Okay, no meme. This kind of makes Gary Vaynerchuk look good, like, so far. I always thought that he was like a bit of a grifter. I mean, she'll get to the grift stuff, but like, it does kind of show him as like a dude who really did, you know, work. He was lucky, certainly, but like, he did work his ass off, it seems like. Obviously, he started off with like a $3 million business, which is insane, and that is not to be forgotten. But he did actually do some shit. He's not like a Kylie Jenner story. You know what I mean?
Instead,
it's surprising. I did not know that, by the way. I'm
surprised. Their aim was to help other brands increase their image online, using the growth of Wine Library as a real-life example of what he was able to do in the digital age. Since then, he's grown VaynerMedia up to an 800-employee business and has been sticking his toes into other various ventures on the side. Gary's latest venture is in the world of NFTs. And I don't get NFTs. Okay, you're paying thousands and sometimes millions for a JPEG. What is the point?
FBI, open up!
It looks like he's drawn them in less than a minute whilst playing Pictionary on crack. The only thing this sperm whale is serious about is saving up for orthodontic treatment. Clever crocodile. Mother only has 2 legs. How did he lose the other 2? He's a crocodile. What's this gorilla got gratitude for? He hasn't any shins. The only thing this squid is sympathetic to is himself for having a bell end for a head. The only thing this rhinoceros is reflecting on is a time when he did not exist before Gary Vee drew him.
Kill me. Kill me now.
In more recent years, Gary has increasingly imposed himself on the motivational speaker space and has turned himself into a sort of walking content farm. And he seems to have an intern with a smartphone and a library of royalty-free inspirational piano music following him around now wherever he goes. So every single nugget of Gary Vee wisdom manages to plop its way into the toilet bowl of social media. And his style is, say something about working hard and being grateful, but be very vague and throw in a completely insane curveball every now and again to completely throw people off track. Something that literally makes him sound like he needs multiple therapists and an intervention.
I'm gonna rip your faces off. Like, I wanna slice throats.
25, and I'm like, man, I've really been here like...
Bro, I'd rip both my legs off and arms to be 25.
Right.
400 trillion to 1, the odds of being a human being. Your dad might have decided to jerk off one more time the day before.
Right.
And we wouldn't be here.
Damn. Yeah, no, it's real. It's a real statistic if you think about cum.
It's all a little bit like this.
I've got some savings and I was just wondering whether to put them in Bitcoin or NFT.
Think about this. Your odds of existing are 400 trillion to 1. Think about your dad's dick for a second.
I don't want to do that.
Think about your dad's dick. Think about the amount of times you could have ended up on your dad's chest. Okay?
I don't want to do that.
You were the one who swam into your mother's vagina.
Please.
Do you have fucking gratitude now?
That was bad.
And this is the work that most of you may be most familiar with, having gone a little bit viral in recent months with his pretty controversial takes, which we will get into.
You know what I think is a better advantage than being born into something? Being born into nothing.
So all of this bullshit may lead you to believe that he's a Tony Robbins or TAI Lopez character, using all of this as a vehicle to push a multi-$1,000 course or seminar, which he is doing. He's actually a bit more interesting than that, in the way that he sort of skirts the fake guru label by not directly and aggressively pushing a course or event, but still manages to make a lot of money out of doing this whole motivation shtick through a lot of separate revenue streams. And he's very self-conscious about being seen as one of these bad guys.
And then he was like, so what were the, you were filming at my events, what were the crowd saying when I was on stage? You don't think I'm one of them guys, do you? Do you think I give value? He was proper really like nervous. It was quite funny.
All my engagement, all my selfies right over there and signing books, all the content, I have nothing to sell. I have a book that I sell once every 3 years for $13. I want you to win, and I want to give you the advice for free, over and over and over again, like I've been doing for the last decade.
So, how does Gary make his money?
You have shit around your house. 21 months of eating shit. Passionate about really focusing on eating shit.
Gary's $200,000 investment in Facebook back in 2009 alone has probably made him around $12 million. This and his early investments in Twitter, Snapchat and Tumblr made him a pretty penny and have given him excellent footing in the world of Gen Z marketing. And this is something that he never fails to mention along with his 800 employee marketing agency, VaynerMedia. He's also predicted in the past Facebook buying Instagram and Joe Rogan's move to Spotify.
I am predicting that Facebook acquires Instagram. You know, I believe Joe Rogan is going to eventually sign a $100 million plus deal to go exclusive on a platform.
So through this, he's sort of positioned himself as a business guru for any young entrepreneur who needs motivation and advice. He has a regular show called Ask Gary V, in which he will answer questions submitted on social media or via his office speakerphone, and people flock to his keynote speeches and will spit green out of their noses for VIP tickets just for the chance to ask him a burning question.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Two things. One, okay, he has made some good plays, or he has made some good calls. Okay, you gotta admit that. You gotta call the balls and the strikes here, and he has made some good calls. So there's that. So that's another point for Gary. Also, secondly, hear me out here. At least the people he's over are entrepreneurs, who, in my opinion, are the most annoying people that you could ever encounter. So technically, he is over people, obviously. If you're like paying a boatload of money to like hear Gary V speak or some shit, like you are getting over, you're getting cooked, and you're probably never going to succeed. Okay? Sorry to break it to you. Hate to break it to you. But also, you're like a entrepreneur, so at the same time, you're like the most annoying person in modern society. I hate that shit so much. They're just so annoying. At least like conservatives are like kind of entertaining and shit. Entrepreneurs are just like annoying, and they think that they like are brilliant at the same time.
Or pitch him a business idea.
And I was talking to a few people in reception.
Yeah,
and
like
they had paid $15,000 to have a meeting with him, a 10-minute meeting.
Wow, 10 minutes?
Yeah. I'll tell you this experience now. Like, I've never spoke about this.
What?
This is incredible.
So Gary seems to have been able to sell himself as a sort of business savant. He still invests in a lot of small tech startups on the side, specifically mobile apps. And he does this a lot. I don't know how many companies he has invested.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. $0 advice. Are you ready for this? If you're dropping 10 grand to talk to Gary V, your business is not gonna succeed. Don't quit your day job. Stay on it. Stay on the same path. Don't worry about that other shit. I'm $0 advice. Okay. If you got 10 grand, $10,000, and you used it on meeting Gary V for like 10 minutes or however long, you literally just, you know, you are so stupid. You are never going to, you're not going to win at anything. You will lose out on everything. People will fuck you over in your business. There you go. That's $0 advice. Okay. Of course, that person is like, oh, this idiot, he just gave me advice for $0, which implies that his advice is worth $0, whereas Gary V's advice is $10,000 to me, at least. So clearly that's more valuable because he doesn't realize that he's just like, you know, dumb with his money. But thank you, A Nightmare, for the 10 gifted subs. Why do you constantly shit on people's happiness? If he wants to invest 10K in a sham, then let him learn from his mistakes. Well, I mean, I'm trying to save him the 10K.
In, or how many he still has money in, or how many of these he's since exited. But throughout my research for this video, I managed to make a list of 108 companies that Gary had put money into starting up, and I'd only heard of 18 of them. But that's not to say that the rest of them are duds. They could be huge in the future, or they could equally fail. They're actually more likely to fail, looking at the survival rates of new tech startups. There's also a ton of huge apps that Gary's missed out on, such as Uber, Tinder, Bumble, Airbnb, Twitch, and TikTok.
I passed on Uber twice. Had I wrote a $25,000 check into that company like I did the other companies, it'd be worth $300 million. And I'm glad the market punched me in my mouth. I deserve it. I'm driven by it. I'm hungrier. Got it?
But he's investing in a lot of startups still, clearly looking for his next unicorn. He's waiting for that next Facebook or Twitter.
By the way, what she's describing, she's great, by the way. I don't know who this person is, but I love her style, especially the dad's dick part was really funny. Think about your dad's. Think about it. No, think about it. You have to think about it. But no, it's not because she has bangs. Shut the up. Jesus Christ. Anyway, also, I have a queen cut out too behind me. But the thing I was going to say is that what she is describing is literally how people make money as angel investors. Okay? This is just how Silicon Valley operates. You have a bunch of people with like a load of disposable income that are sitting around, dicking around, literally pumping money into like every single new startup with the hopes that one of those is going to be what she just called a unicorn. Oh, she's here? Oh, shit. I was still watching. I swear to God, even if you saw me watching in a loop, I was watching actually. I just was watching in the kitchen. Sorry. I promise I wasn't just like not reacting and just playing your video. Hi, I'm here. Oh my gosh, you've been subscribed to me for 5 months? Well, your videos are dope. Anyway, as I was saying, it's literally how a lot of these angel investors, this is how they work. They just sit around and they pump money, 10 grand here, 25 grand there, 100 grand here, whatever. And it doesn't really matter ultimately because like you have so much disposable income. You have so much cash from that one unicorn that you lucked out on that you can just like dump a couple 100 grand here and there. It's gambling. It's basically gambling. But the odds are, of course, better than gambling in a casino. But that's precisely what that shit is. And then you get a lot of the benefits on top of everything else. You get a lot of the benefits on top of everything else when you do actually hit big. It is roulette, though. Yeah. Oh, my God. My chat is like, dude, literally just... Dude, I love this community, except for when you're in the presence of, like, a woman, okay? You literally are just like, you hurt yourself. Either you're, like, super horny and really annoying as Coomers, or You're super horny and really annoying as simps who are like overcorrecting. Just be normal, please. What do I always tell you? Just be normal, dude. God damn.
Get him that multi-million-dollar payout. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what angel investors generally do. They hedge their bets across a wide spectrum of companies, and they make many highly risky investments in small startups in the hope of finding that one unicorn. But he also very likely gets a great deal on all of the investments that he makes, simply due to who he is now. So when trying to get funding for your small tech startup, there's something called smart money. So smart money is when, along with the money you get from an investor, you also get connections and knowledge. So startups give them more equity than they usually would in exchange for all of these perks. And many startups probably do give him pretty hefty chunks of their companies because he basically serves as a marketing machine. And by that I mean tech publications will write articles whenever Gary invests in something because he's a well-known name, and sometimes he'll even mention your startup on social media or on his blog, or if you're very lucky, on late night TV.
So what the app does is it allows you to take a picture of the label, and within a second get the information of what the wine is.
Which puts you in a great footing when you get to the venture capital funding stage.
Faithbox, I'm an early angel investor, true angel investor in both Birchbox and Barkbox, and believe in the box of the month business model. This is Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm a Birchbox man.
So Gary's positioning of himself as this sort of gateway to Gen Z also sets him up with other lucrative opportunities, such as being an advisor on company boards in exchange for company equity.
He's supported by various billionaires, from what I understand, who invest in his business and keep it going. But then what's it good for? Well, these billionaires own valuable consumer brands that we know of every single day. And because Gary Vee has so captivated the Gen Z audience with this vision of, if you just hustle and grind and execute, you're going to be rich. And the Gen Z people love him. He gets millions of followers on every platform. They literally love what he's saying, even though it might not mean it. He's selling this dream. So brands then hire him, and billionaires who own these brands support his business and keep it alive, because now they have this direct voice to hit the Gen Z audience.
But he's not exactly the minority report of the market or anything. I mean, he invested in Jake fucking Paul early on, so you can partly blame Gary Vee for that shit show as well. He also invested in an app called After School, which was like Yik Yak, if you know what Yik Yak was, but for even younger school students, elementary school students. It promptly failed after getting a lot of bad press.
There's a chance your children know about it, and they might be using it.
So he's not some kind of market genius, but he is a pretty good businessman in his own field with, in my opinion, a lot of early look, and buckets of personality. And it's those buckets of personality that help him out the most. Yes, he's made a couple of predictions that have turned out to be true, but he also makes a lot of predictions. For example, here's some predictions which I sincerely hope never make it into the real world and remain in Gary's head.
If I woke up tomorrow and found out that Snapchat was coming out with sneakers, I'd be like,
hey girl, I sent my dick to your trainers. Please respond.
So our phones are smart, right?
Right.
But what happens when your belt is smart?
Ooh.
And now all of a sudden you go to order a Big Mac and you try to pay with your phone, but your belt's talking to your phone, and when you go to pay, it declines and it looks at you and says, order a salad, fat ass. And then virtual reality porn is going to be interesting.
And if you ever go over your weekly porn quota, a knife immediately comes out of the headset and chops your dick into tiny little pieces.
Or what about when your refrigerator reorders another case of Budweiser because it understands how often you drink it? And so you're...
Okay, to be fair, what he's describing there already is like, that's not that far-fetched at all. Wearable tech is also not that far-fetched. Like, these aren't like incredible ideas that he's like coming up with on the spot or anything. That's like kind of a thing already. Like, what he's describing is just like something that exists.
down to 2. It knows that you're going to drink 2 tonight because that's your average. And as soon as you get home that night and open and grab the first one, it's already reordering it for you.
So your refrigerator becomes an enabler.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that one. But switch out the bud for a wanky craft beer, please.
Here's your order of Deirdre's handcrafted stout matured in a barrel infused with dirt from the forest floor, you wanker.
Whoa! And part of Gary's marketing is this story that he's made for himself. So every time he's interviewed, he always ensures to relay his life story and how his hustle hard attitude has got him to where he is today. And he always makes sure to mention that his plan is to one day buy the New York Jets.
My mom made me a sweater when I was 5 years old because everybody outside was playing football when we moved to Edison, New Jersey.
All right, dude. Yeah, no. Capitalism is bullshit. Meritocracy is a lie. There you go. I'm sorry. You were born as an L nerd. If your ultimate goal is to buy the worst franchise team, dude, you're an L nerd. You were destined to be an L nerd, but because there is no real meritocracy out there, you were able to make a load of money. Okay? You can't change that though. You still got that L nerd mentality, dude. Watch your mouth. Jets fans can't even talk shit because they know I'm right. It's right, but sometimes it hurts worse when you're right.
And I wanted a Jets jersey like everybody else had because I just become a Jets fan. And we didn't have the money, or my parents didn't want to spend $25 on a Jets jersey that I was going to outgrow in 2 minutes.
Wait, what the dude? His father had a $3 million wine business. I doubt that he was not able to purchase a Jets jersey, bro. I'm sorry, but pretty sure he qualifies it already. He's like, well, you know, maybe they just didn't want to buy it for me because I was going to grow out of it, which is the real reason.
So my mom spent the next couple of weeks knitting me a sweater. I am going to buy the New York Jets. I want to buy the New York Jets, right? So I want to buy the New York Jets. Let's take a step back.
Okay, you do?
So, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
And I'm going to.
So he says that his plan is to buy them in about 20 years from now.
Yeah, isn't he worth like 60 million? How's he gonna do that?
Tomorrow, if he wanted to.
There's a lot of things I can do if tomorrow it has to happen. Call in all those favors, cash in all those chips, sell all the, my company just did a huge transaction that valued the company at a $400 million valuation. That puts my net worth at $200 million of what I own of that. I've got all this paper money on Facebook. I can cash it all in. It's on the stock market. I've got private money in Uber and other things that I can convert to somebody else. I've got pieces.
But selling a marketing agency which completely relies on your personal brand, I'm not sure it would get that much without Gary there himself. The Jets are worth $4 billion now. And for as long as Gary's been saying that he wants to buy the Jets, the price of the Jets has been increasing exponentially, a little faster than his personal wealth. I mean, perhaps he will make it one day, or maybe he'll be 89. I could buy the Jets tomorrow if I wanted to. All I'd have to do is win the bingo a few more times at the Village Fete. We'll be all good. All right, Grandad V, time for your meds. But all of these things, he says, works, and some people are literally willing to pay over £15,000 for a 10-minute meeting with him, which, if you ask me, is an insane waste of money.
He's positioned himself as a go-to guy, and that's why he's on TikTok. They're paying to pitch to him.
Bro, honestly, like, yeah, if you're paying 10 grand to pitch to this dude, like, you're never gonna make it. You will never ever make it. You are going to be a loser. You are going to lose. Your business is gonna fail. I'm sorry.
Then he would say in that room, if you've got a good business idea, he'll say, I really like that, I want to invest. So Gary's then really using the money that you've spent
to invest.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm going to give you your money back, but I'm going to take a chunk of your company. Or your business is rubbish, Gary's not interested, and then he just has a picture with you. You're happy because you're on his social media, and he's got $15,000. He's not bothered.
Hot dogs are the backbone of America. Florida is the tail. Guns are the elbow.
Hey, Cat. What are you watching? Oh, I can't watch new episodes of John Oliver's Last Week Tonight here in the UK because it's blocked in this country. So what I had to do was download the scripts of all previous episodes, feed them all into an AI bot, and then ask it to write a new episode for me.
It's a VPN ad. If only VPNs were good for something else too, because it does kind of remind me of something. Oh, that's right. At the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you'd like to no longer see the ads, then all you need to do is subscribe. You can subscribe for $5. You can subscribe for free. There's another thing. I don't know why the VPN thing just like reminded me of the top of the hour ad break, but it sure did for some reason. Reasons I can't think about. But also, like I said, if you want to avoid the ads, the only two ways that you could do it is by subscribing for free with a Twitch Prime or for $5. That's right. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. I'm turning into a Republican for what Hassan the Hun did to my video. I watched it for a second, but this was okay. Listen. My man is never going to promote someone else's video ever again. Okay, listen, here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem. I'm sorry. 2, you don't have bangs. 3, lastly, someone else had linked the Muse Cat video earlier in the day, and it was really interesting to me. The titling and thumbnail was really interesting, and I recalled it as soon as you promoted it on your video, and I was like, oh yeah, I want a Muse Cat. Are you doing the Squid Game? I'm gonna watch the rest of this video while I eat, and then I'm gonna go into it. Okay, we're skipping the ad now.
And it's about learning how to use third word. So what work extreme teachings? Well, it's basically this. If you're willing to work extremely hard, you'll make it.
I punted every leisure activity in my life. Nothing. No weekends. No vacations. Zero. Nothing.
He lives in hell, dude.
Nothing. I didn't take a single vacation day. None. Zero. 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 All my high school friends, gone, because I wasn't around. All my college friends, post-college, gone. I'd see them a little bit. I love those guys, but gone. Girlfriends, nothing. All in. I think that anybody who's got a bigger platform than me, who's willing to bleed out of their eyeballs for their community, will beat me. Anybody who's smaller won't, because I'm just gonna outwork everybody.
Please subscribe. Please. I have to beat Gary. But don't bother complaining. No one cares. If you're happy not working that much, that's fine. But then you need to be happy with not making it, which basically means being poor. If you don't want to work that much, just shut up and stop complaining, bitch. And if you don't have money, you do have time, apparently, but you choose to sit there watching 11 episodes of the Kardashians.
When you don't have money, you have time. That's why, Ange, that's what I went back to. Like, please don't watch 11 episodes of the Kardashians on Saturday afternoon. How much time did you have for yourself on Saturday and Sunday that was not working every minute? Tell me the truth.
What?
A lot.
You spent more downtime on not your career this weekend than I.
Bro, this dude is I mean, dude, I'm sorry. This is freak shit, bro. This is so sad. Like, there is not a realistic likelihood that you're going to succeed as an entrepreneur. And this guy's over here like taking the one time that you have to yourself away from yourself to focus on like this endeavor that might actually be costly. That's awful. Now, of course, I'm literally the opposite of, I've realized that I am the opposite of Gary Vaynerchuk in the sense that like the most hypocritical thing I do, and this is a hypocrisy, I admit, is I work as hard as Gary Vaynerchuk wants you to work, okay? While simultaneously telling you that like you shouldn't do that, okay? Because I think I'm honest. And what I mean by that is I know for a fact that like what I do here on Twitch especially is profoundly lucky, okay? I am the most lucky person. I'm one of the most lucky individuals on the planet. And also not only that, but on top of that, like it has broken my brain. Like I did 12 to 14 hour streams every goddamn day and it broke me. So now I recognize, more importantly than anything else, that like it is important to have some time to yourself. At least you admit it. I always admit it. I literally always admit it. You might be new here and you've probably never heard this before, but it's something that I readily admit all the time. Yeah, I worked really hard, but ultimately this shit is not easy to make it in at all. And you could be spending a load of time for yourself, away from like your own mental health and away from like, I don't know, pursuing something that gives you more fulfillment in an effort to like try to make it in this like insanely difficult industry to make it in, and just basically lose out on some years and experiences that you may have otherwise cherished. Like, dude, have fun. It's not a 100% foolproof method the way that Gary Vaynerchuk makes it seem like it is.
I did in my entire 20s combined.
Oh shit. Okay.
What are you saying? Both Nikki is not green and also Mooncat are 5 month subscribers. I said I'm sorry. Wait, what? Why did you? Don't time him out. RTBA. I'll debate you on Discord easy. No. Anyway, have fun voting for Tom Steyer. I already explained my position. Okay. 1, you don't have bangs. 2, I had already heard about this other video earlier in the day. That's it. Also, he's memeing. All right, let's keep watching.
So in less than 8 years, when I'm a millionaire by 25, I'll come shake your hand.
I promise you that statement itself made me 100% guarantee that you won't.
No.
Yeah.
Sure.
I fucking worked every minute of my life.
Sure, but there's people out there, Gary, that don't necessarily subscribe to that, right? That
They're
don't
gonna lose.
necessarily think
They're gonna lose.
that's not the way.
I don't give a fuck about them. They're gonna lose. Remember when we graduated college and you went to the Jersey Shore every weekend and hooked up with chicks and drank beer? I worked. You can't because you want to be on the bowling team or softball or play video games. That's why you can't. There's plenty of time. Get shit done. I'm rich.
No teachers out there who have to do marketing
Be like, I studied the blade.
when they get home and look after kids and all sorts. No, that broke teacher is broke because she's watching the Kardashians. Damn, it's just so simple. And he even thinks that having adversity in any way, being an immigrant or being black or being poor, is in some backwards way a privilege.
If you're complaining, do something about it. I don't know if anybody knows, but slavery's been gone for a while. Your boss might be the biggest jerk of all time, but guess what? You can go get another job. I'm writing a book right now. I have 3 or 4 books that I'm writing in my head.
Okay. I nailed this about Gary a while back when we watched that video. In many ways, he reminds me of like the white Republican guy because like he's routinely looking for like victimhood so much and persecution so much because he very clearly has lived a life devoid of it that he like will invent new ways of like tricking his brain into thinking that he's experiencing some kind of oppression or struggle, like his mother being owned and destroyed and killed. And that's the difference. He's a profoundly privileged person regardless, and he has made the most of his privilege. I agree. Especially after watching this video, I realized like he definitely was in the right place in the right time, for sure. Straight the fuck up, got lucky with like a lot of big whale investments, stuff like that, and good for him for doing that. But this notion that like, you know, it's only people who are not working hard that are failing is silly. It's something that only is something that you would come up with if you were born into a family that already had a business that was worth $3 million.
That's how I write them, called I Wish Everybody Was an Immigrant. It's a huge advantage. Being a minority, being an underdog is an advantage. I can't not believe that. Cliche stuff, that the hate and the negativity that people are pushing. Still, if you go out and execute and win, America's like, you're a winner. It's really, you know, it's capitalism. The quickest tell that somebody's a loser is complaining. Something really bad happened to you as a kid because the neighbor's a weird dude? The market doesn't care. I think it's so good in America that most people are soft. That thinks the president of the United States, whether it's...
I love that. He's right. He's right, but he's not saying it's a bad thing. Like, that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, I would say something along those lines when I'm talking about how, like, healthcare is so broken in America, like, fundamentally broken. Like, oh my God, if you got, like, the free market doesn't care. You can't even get, like, you know, mental health care that you desperately need, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, on the other hand, is like, the free market doesn't care, and that's a good thing. Like,
it's Barack or Donald or Bernie or Hillary is gonna help them, they're a loser. Being an African American in America immediately defaults you into not being soft, and you're still gonna be profiled and judged. It's just true.
And I think that's an advantage in the way the world's going now, because the world's playing out on the internet where the internet doesn't judge that. It's easier. You know why? Because the old white dude doesn't control it no more. The internet fixed racism.
I just got, oh my God, that was so good. That's right. The internet fixed racism. Definitely, dude. He's right. Like, I love what he's trying to say. And the inherent irony is the internet is a place where you can hide your race, right? So even in the most charitable interpretation of what he's trying to say, like, the internet can just paper over racism. You can overcome racism. It's not gone, but you can, like, use the anonymity to your advantage. Except, you know, that literally still means that racism is still there. It wasn't fixed. Like, you don't fix racism by being like a black person who can operate as a white person on paper. Racism is still there. So, so that's one. And two, this mother invested into Facebook. Does he not know what's going on that platform? The platform that he was an early investor in literally was responsible for the genocide of Muslims in Myanmar. And they unironic, they know, they apologized for it. They said, oopsie, sorry about the genocide that we did in Myanmar. So kind of wild. The free market doesn't care. True.
Internet doesn't give a if you're black, white, transgender from Mars. It's a market.
Right, okay then. So explain how Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae, the famous Trump handshaker, got so famous performing black people's dances without credit. Oh, and explain this.
If I go into the creator marketplace and I put supporting white supremacy and I hit accept, it's okay, and it lets me have my asking rate at $500. White supremacy. But God forbid, let me put Black Lives Matter on there. Watch, it says it's a threat. Boom. Inappropriate content. Can't say that. I cannot say black people.
But how can Gary really say this at all when he's never truly come from any sort of adversity himself? Yes, he's an immigrant, but an extremely fortunate immigrant whose father managed to give him a huge leg up into the world of business. I'm not saying Gary isn't talented, obviously he is, but he literally never ever admits that his father gave him a massive leg up.
You know what I think is a better advantage than being born into something? Being born into nothing. I'm on the record. Remember I said it. Can't wait to watch it in 20 years. The internet the way it is today, I'd rather have 0 than 100 million. People that have 0 are like, this guy's an idiot. That's because you don't talk to trust fund babies. I do. I talk to trust fund babies. They DM me. I meet them in real life because of my business career. They're sad. Do you know what it's like to talk to a human being that looks at you at 22 years old and says, no matter what I do for the next 80 years, it will never be my own accomplishment. Everybody will always say I was handed it and I'm done. Do you know what kind of level of depression, cocaine, and partying until you die that leads to? A lot. That was bad.
Every time I click my fingers, another trust fund baby does a line of cocaine and is a bit sad. Please donate today to the Trust Fund Baby Fund.
The funny thing about that is that, like, it's not even true. If you're rich under a capitalist organization of the economy, you're automatically better, okay? Bigger the number, the better the person. So even those trust fund babies, like, it's literally their own personal insecurities that they can't overcome because everyone around them is constantly like, oh, dude, he's so rich. No one knows. No one cares, even if they do know. Ultimately, most of the people around them will still assume that they're killer, okay? That they're super successful because they're just very, very, you know, hardworking and they deserve to be super successful. Also, 22-year-olds, like, he's talking to 22-year-old trust fund babies. That's so weird. If it hurts so much, give the money away. Pepela, what do you mean? First of all, I'm a self-made entrepreneur, my friend, okay? I'm not a trust fund baby, despite the fact that many people think I am. That's right. And secondly, I never said it's bad to have money, dumbass. It's awesome. You want to know how awesome it is? Hold on. Watch this. Just for fun, you are potentially a subscriber, right? Not you. I mean, if wealth is such a burden, then people will voluntarily give it up. Oh, man. I wanted to make a point by banning you permanently. But I'm not going to do that because that would be mean, because I think you weren't like talking shit. But if he was an asshole, I would have banned him, and you know that. But people don't like admit getting carried, lol. I mean, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets carried somewhere, one way or another. Sometimes I wonder if I ban mobile frogs because because they're like responding to something earlier in the video. Probably all the time.
So that one day, no more trust fund babies. We'll have to be a bit sad. Because Daddy was too successful. The Trust Fund Baby Fund. Because there's nothing worse than Tarquin feeling a bit aimless. His philosophy is he'd rather be happy and broke than rich and sad, but he never admits that many problems come from financial problems, but he's never experienced that himself. He'll say that he had to start VaynerMedia out of somebody else's office.
I love when people are like, well,
Okay, I'm joining the crab game. But I think they've already started. The lag for mobile viewers is not that bad. You literally answered that an hour later. Okay. We'll get to this back. We'll get back to this in a second. I have the crab game right here. It's preparing to launch. I've never played it. I don't know how to play it. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.